Welcome to the Modern Medicine Movement Podcast. Dr. Thomas Hemingway here. Super pumped, super grateful. Let's go. Welcome, guys. Such a pleasure to have you back. Another week. Oh my gosh, in Hawaii currently, and it is beautiful. Hope you guys are having an amazing spring. For my kids, it's spring break this week. So they are loving life, living their best life, building with their Legos each and every day, outside, skateboarding on our skate ramp, going to the beach, surfing. Being kids, it's awesome. It's so fun to see them build and just enjoy each other's company and the Legos. And I hope you guys are doing fantastic. So grateful for you guys. Oh my gosh. I actually, I'm just going to jump into this. I wanted to share a couple of your feedback because this is so important, guys. Seriously, we've had over 100,000 downloads and we have 167 reviews. Let's get this number up to 200 by next week. Like over, into the thousands download this podcast every week, and we hardly have any reviews. And that's literally what gets the word out. It just optimizes the SEO, so to speak, gets the word out there and people can discover it more easily. And I really feel like this stuff is changing lives. I've gotten messages from you guys. In fact, hey, I'll just read one that's entitled exactly that, just from last week, entitled Life Changing by Madam Bro. I don't know how to say that, but Madia Bro, something like that. Anyway, this person says, life changing, 5 stars. The Modern Medicine Movement Podcast is a total game changer when it comes to health. I absolutely love this podcast. Recommend it to anyone who will listen. It has truly changed my life and my habits. Oh my gosh. Madia Bro, whoever you are, thank you. I just so appreciate you. I appreciate you sharing that because that just tickles my heart. Literally, that's the reason I do this, guys. I love to serve. I love to share. Oh my gosh. Hey, while we're in the mood here, let's do another one. I love. In fact, that's what this one's entitled, 328, just about a week ago. Love it. 5-star review from J Brox, 8493. J. Brock says, love it. Dr. Hemingway does an amazing job with this podcast. I indirectly work with him and his wife. I've been following them for several years. They are amazing people. Dr. Hemingway knows his stuff. As my family has recently started moving towards a more holistic approach to our lives, I love that I'm able to take advice from someone that I know. I'm not a very sciencey person, and Dr. Thomas does a great job of breaking it down for even the simple-minded folks to understand. Love the podcast, Dr. Thomas. Keep it up. Thank you for the work that you do. Oh my gosh, J. Brox, 8493. Thank you, guys, for sharing that out. Thanks for putting a review on Apple Podcasts. It's simple to do. Just scroll down to the end there where you see those 5 stars. Click on the one farthest to the right, and then click on that little button there on the left that has a square with a pencil coming out the top, and write a review. Tell me what you're loving, what you're enjoying, what you're learning. Oh my gosh, guys, I read every one of these and they tickle my heart. Love it. And it just helps more people find us. So thanks in advance for doing that. So appreciate you guys. Oh my gosh, you are amazing. This is why we do what we do at the Modern Medicine Movement. And you guys know I've been kind of toying with the idea of changing the name, and I'm going to leave it at Modern Medicine Movement for now because we are a movement. We want to share this movement of natural, holistic, integrative health because I really believe that should be the future of medicine, a personalized approach to our health that integrates all the stuff that we know and we learn, that we're learning every day, and it should be a holistic approach. So this is the way it started back in the day with Hippocrates, who said all disease begins in the gut. He was right, and literally it took thousands of years for us to realize that. So thank you for supporting the movement by sharing this out with your friends, your family, whoever you think might benefit, and for please writing a review. Let's get that number up to 200. Anyway, super exciting news coming your way, guys. We are now underway this week. In fact, we just launched our amazing community, the Thrive Community with Dr. Thomas. I hope you will participate in that. You get access to me for live Q&A, Zoom calls every month, for lots of cool content, posts, office hours where you can ask me questions, and I'll be happy to share with you. And so much support from one another. Like, we're all on this journey together to optimize our health and our life. And I felt the need to just get this community going because I really want to support you guys better and be able to, respond to you and be able to share with you. Like, I can't wait to do these live Zoom calls. It's going to be amazing. Oh my gosh, I just had the opportunity this weekend to present a keynote for an amazing VIP Ignite group that I presented to before. They're incredible. I shared my actually a little bit updated version of my keynote that I got to share, Align, this year, where I followed the famous Dave Hollis. You guys know that Dave was there, Patrice Washington, Heidi Powell, Jasmine Starr, Tiffany Peterson, Amber Lee, my wife Brooke, oh my gosh, Alejandra. It was amazing. So if you guys didn't get a chance to see it, you can still get access to that, AlignEventsLive.com. So exciting. So this group is coming out. You'll be able to find a link to it on my Instagram. Just go down there to the link tree and it'll say community. Join the community, the Thrive community. I'll also have a link on my website, modernmedicinemovement.com. Please, please, please follow me there on Instagram, Modern Medicine Movement, or at Aloha Surf Doc. Please sign up for my free weekly newsletter. This is health tidbits, pearls, powerful tips that can help you on a weekly basis. Just good content. Please, please, please feel free to follow me and subscribe. You can see the link on my Instagram, on my website, and share it. Share it out with your friends. Get them to subscribe because I love giving you new tips. You'll be the first to know all the latest and greatest, the updates on my book. I'm meeting with my editor again this week. Oh my gosh, guys, it's coming out this year. It's going to be amazing. You guys are going to love it. How to survive, not just, life, but how to thrive, how to get yourself healthy from the ground up, from the inside out, from the root cause. This is what a lot of doctors are missing nowadays. Literally 7 out of 10 of the leading causes of death worldwide are almost entirely preventable. Hence the book, Preventable: 5 Powerful Practices to Avoid Disease and Build Unshakable Health. So excited to get that out to you. It's going to be amazing. Just love, love, love you guys. You are the reason I do this. You are the reason. You are my why. And I just want you to know how amazing you are and for supporting this movement, the modern medicine movement with Dr. Thomas Hemingway. So grateful for you guys. So yeah, follow me on Insta at Aloha Surf Doc, at Modern Medicine Movement. Hop on over to the website, modernmedicinemovement.com. You'll see all the links there. And without further ado, we're going to get into a topic that, oh my gosh, guys, total game changer, like literally game changer. And on top of that, the thing that I think is so cool about this is that it is simple, right? You guys know the acronym KISS, keep it simple, sweetie. I love to keep it simple, yet share powerful stuff based on the evidence. So this week will be no different. We will share about what are colloquially known as the seed oils, the vegetable oils, the corn oil, these that have been promoted to be quote unquote heart healthy that really aren't. In fact, their incidence, our rise in consumption of these seed oils has basically mirrored our rise in obesity, our rise in heart disease, diabetes, all of these killers. The curve almost looks identical to the introduction of these dang highly processed, highly factory made, super ultra processed oils, the seed oils of the world. These are, let me just tell you, I don't want to miss any. I'm going to look at my notes for a second because they are pervasive. They are out there. And you may say to yourself, you know what? I cook with olive oil or avocado oil or coconut oil. And I hope that you do, because if you do, freaking amazing, 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 because those are the good oils out there, okay? The bad ones, the so-called vegetable oil, the corn oil, the seed oil, which are, even the organic seed oils, even organic canola oil, organic soybean oil, organic sunflower, safflower, cottonseed, rapeseed, grapeseed, safflower, rice bran, soybean, I said that. These are bad. These are not good. And the reason being, they are ultra, ultra, ultra highly processed. So a little over 100 years ago, turn of the 20th century, 1900s, these were created basically from a waste product, literally an industrial waste. So the making of cotton, right? What was left over? You got to separate all those seeds. You don't want those seeds in your clothing. So all the seeds were kind of, they gathered them up and they're like, hey, we don't want to waste this stuff. Maybe we can do something with it. And so they made literally the seed oils, the vegetable oils, the cottonseed, the mazola, and even like the Criscos and things. They literally made it out of this waste product that was the seeds in the cotton making industry. That's where this all started over 100 years ago. And guess what? When they were first experimenting with it, they were first trying to figure out like how to use it and what to do with it. They started to feed it to some cattle and cows died. Like, this stuff is toxic. And, they've refined the process. We aren't dying, at least in the short term, but it's affecting us because we are dying in the long term, and we are dying sooner than ever before. In fact, I don't know if you guys know this, but for the last several years, even pre-COVID, the life expectancy in the U.S., in the developed world, has been going down. We started to see a dip starting in 2017, 2018, 2019, and got really exacerbated with 2020 with COVID, because all of the health conditions that we mostly suffer from in this country, all these preventable ones like diabetes, obesity, heart disease, many cancers, etc., these increased our chances of dying of COVID, because comorbidities, right? The more that we have comorbidities, the more likely we are to die of lots of diseases. And so what's interesting is this curve, like I said at the outset, of, the rise and death of heart disease, diabetes, and all these things literally mirrors the introduction of these seed oils in our lifetime. In the beginning of the 20th century, the 1900s, when this started, everything went out the window. And what happened was we were being told that they were healthy. They were clean and pure and processed and industrialized, and they looked pretty. They were glistening. They were smooth. They were clear. Did you guys know that the processing to make these seed oils is unbelievable? Like sometimes 10, 20, 30, 50 different steps involving high pressure, high heat, even a deodorization process. Like, why the heck do they need to deodorize it? Because it stinking smells like, well, I don't want to say it on the air, but it smells bad. They had to deodorize it. They used solvents like toluene and these kind of chemical solvents to make it look clean and pretty and clear. And they use all this other, super dangerous stuff with respect to, what happens at the end of it, the high heat, the high pressure, which basically makes these oils very, very prone to degradation, oxidative stress, and in our body, what this translates into is inflammation. They cause inflammation. So anyway, this stuff literally, not today or tomorrow, but over the long term, is toxic. And we'll get into it in this podcast, but I have a couple references I wanted to cite and share with you. But the thing to keep in mind is that they are hiding in plain sight. Like literally, they are in almost every food out there that comes with the 3 B's for badness, right? If it comes in a bag, if it comes in a box, or it comes with a barcode, like these things literally almost always have some version of seed oil. Remember, I talked about the canola oil. It doesn't matter if it's organic, it's still a seed oil. Safflower, sunflower, soybean, rapeseed, rice bran, cottonseed, grapeseed, sunflower, safflower. These are all the seed oils, the corn oils, the so-called vegetable oil. This stuff is not good for us, and we're going to explain why that is. But the primary reason is because it's so easily oxidized in our bodies. In other words, oxidation is the breakdown which releases these processes called free radicals. And it's kind of like the rust, right? The body's version of rust. Oxidation with ferrous metal, it turns that reddish color, it gets rusty. Well, in our bodies, we have kind of a biologic rust, which is from the production of these free radicals, which happens when we metabolize the seed oils. And to a much greater degree, when these oils are used for cooking of any kind, think anything that's deep fried, oh my gosh, fried foods, they're so scrumptious, right? But they could literally be toxic. Like, we'll talk about some alternatives and take a closer look, but let's just go back a little bit to what the issue is anyway. So these oils were sort of new in the game, right? We used to cook in bacon grease or lard or tallow, or my favorite, just butter. I'm able to buy some amazing grass-fed butter at Costco. Like, it's double the price, but it's worth it. It's amazing. Grass-fed butter is not prone to the same kind of oxidation that the seed oils are. And as you guys know, it tastes amazing, right? It tastes great. I love, love, love cooking things in butter. Anyway, if we go back in time when these things, were first introduced, like I said, they were made literally from the waste products of the cotton industry, okay? And the reason these are so prone to oxidation is they are what's called a polyunsaturated fatty acid, a so-called PUFA. PUFA, some people will have that resonate with puffy because they make us puffy, they make us fat. The PUFAs are not awesome. These polyunsaturated fatty acids, what happens is they have a bunch of double bonds, which for you chemistry and physics buffs out there, what that means is, for example, you have a big table with 12 chairs. It's like having some empty seats there. And those empty seats allow for hydrogenation. You guys are aware of that because they basically outlawed hydrogenated foods. These are like the fake oils, like butter, like I can't believe it's not butter, or the margarines and things like that. These are hydrogenated oils. And by now we should all know that they're bad for us. Anything on a label that says hydrogenated anything, I don't care if it's organic hydrogenated oil, it's bad. Like that's literally been outlawed. And it's amazing to me that this stuff is still found in food. But I think what happened is the FDA gave these companies, the big ones like P&G, Procter & Gamble and all the others, it gave them like a big window to get rid of them. So you can still find hydrogenated oils in your foods even today. You got to look. So if you see hydrogenated, dump it, put it back, don't use it, throw it away, whatever. If it's in your pantry, get rid of it. These are bad. What happens is all of those double bonds from the polyunsaturated, the PUFA part of the chemical there, allow that hydrogen to get in because there's like an empty chair at the table. So they can react with hydrogen and it causes hydrogenation. And when that happens, these are super, super prone to the oxidation or the biologic rust. And this causes inflammation. This is probably one of the biggest drivers in our body of inflammation. We've talked about inflammation a lot. I podcasted on it a couple of times because it's literally at the heart of almost every disease is some kind of inflammation. And the seed oils are likely culprits, at least one of the major culprits into causing this. And so these are called the omega-6 fatty acids or the PUFAs. They are not awesome like the omega-3s, which are incredible. We need those like from fish oil, right? And eggs and things. The healthy version is the omega-3. We need that. Back in the day, before the seed oils, right? Before Crisco and Mazola and Weston and all that, we actually had a balance in our diet of about 1-to-1 of omega-3 to omega-6, which is amazing. Now, do you know what that balance is? It's like 20-to-1 in favor of the crap oils, the PUFAs, the omega-6s of the world. Literally, we're consuming them 20 times more than the omega-3s, which is not awesome. It is not awesome because they are highly reactive, highly unstable. They leave room at the table for those hydrogen atoms to mess with everything and cause oxidation, oxidative stress, oxidative damage, which causes inflammation. So besides the fact that just having these seed oils in something that we're eating, say a granola bar, a cookie, a cracker, a candy, whatever, that's going to be prone to oxidation and inflammation in our body, but it's even amplified or made much worse when we cook with it. If we're cooking with canola oil, vegetable oil, soybean, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, corn oil, whatever, those are super potentially damaging because as you heat them, they become oxidized already, and as you reheat them, think any commercial fryer, like I'll just spill the beans here, guys. My son is working at a restaurant, which is actually, I feel like a fairly high quality restaurant where everything is homemade. They have a fryer, like most restaurants do. And I'll be honest, I've eaten food out of there. What I realize now that he works there is that they literally, he's been there a couple of months. They've never once changed the oil in the fryer. They do add more, right? Because it's going into the environment, it's going into the food, it's getting on people's clothes, it's causing that icky mess on the floor. Like they're adding more, but they're literally never emptying out that dang thing and cleaning it. And this is what I would consider a nicer restaurant, right? This is like a, $30 a plate kind of place that is everything is homemade. But they still have that practice of not throwing out the oil. And besides that, it's crap oil. They're using vegetable oil. Like almost every restaurant, I would bet it's well over 90% are using the seed oils. Why? It's simple economics, right? You go to Costco, you can get a gallon jug of vegetable oil, canola oil, whatever, these crap oils, and it's literally a couple of bucks. You try to buy a gallon of extra virgin, minimally processed, just pressed olive oil or pressed coconut oil or avocado oil, minimally processed. These things are like 10 times the price. Like, I totally get it. So I basically kind of stopped eating any fried foods because of this craziness of the toxins. What happens, let me just get into that a little bit. When you heat them, this causes all kinds of oxidative damage. It breaks them down. There's lots of free radicals. It's basically going to cause oxidative stress, this so-called rust, you know, the oxidative rust that'll happen, the biologic rust in our body. But the more that you reheat them over and over again, this just gets amplified, and it produces byproducts that are super toxic. Have you guys ever heard of acrolein, which is basically one of the bad things that comes out of cigarette smoke? Acroleins and aldehydes. These things are not awesome. These are toxic byproducts of these seed oils being heated and reheated and reheated. They literally give off aldehydes and acroleins. So there was a recent study, and I'm going to share with you some stuff that comes out of the journal Nutrients, because I just thought it was so incredibly interesting. From 2020, the journal Nutrients, and there's a few others too that I've been looking at, but this one is called The Potential Adverse Public Health Effects by Ingestion of the Dietary Lipid Oxidation Products, Significance of Fried Food Sources with the PUFAs, the culinary oils, the PUFAs, and it talks about the release of these chemicals like aldehydes, acroleins. It's been estimated that literally one serving, you know, one order of French fries at your favorite restaurant you pick, which I'm going to guarantee you like 99% of them are using vegetable oil. They're not using avocado oil. They're not using coconut oil. They're not using, you know, olive oil, because it's way more expensive. They're using the cheap stuff. One serving, guys, of fried whatever, let's say French fries, or I got to admit, one of my favorites is a fried sushi roll. Like, I love sushi, and like when they just dip it real quick in the fryer, and it's, oh my gosh, guys, so awesome. But I've stopped eating it because literally one serving has got the equivalent of these toxic chemicals like aldehydes and acroleins, like in cigarettes, equal to about the amount of these toxic substances as in smoking 25 cigarettes. Like, what the? I mean, that's crazy. It's just craziness. I knew it, nobody really assumes fried food is good for you. I mean, it's not good for you, but I didn't know it could be this bad for you. And as we look at it, like I said, if you look at the curves of how we're using these vegetable oils, consuming them 20 to 30% now of our fats in our diet, and 20 times more than we did 100 years ago, the same rate, that asymptotic, rise, that high rise in heart disease, cancer, all these diseases of inflammation, obesity, all these things go up in a similar curve with the advent of these seed oils. Seed oils are not awesome, guys. We got to look for them. They are potentially very toxic. And it's not that day. You're not going to drop of a heart attack the day you eat French fries. Like, no, I mean, come on, this is over time. And just think about the repeated exposure, because what happens is they incorporate into our body. Like, you can do a fat biopsy on me or any one of us, and I'm going to have way more of these PUFAs than I might have had if I lived 100 years ago, when I could have never eaten them because they were never available. Now I specifically try to avoid them. But, I go to a restaurant now and again, and I can't be guaranteed that they're not using this stuff. So I really try to limit it, especially if I'm at home. I try to cook more at home. And then when I do cook, I'm cooking with olive oil, avocado oil, coconut oil, these that are not highly refined, highly processed oils. And I'm not reusing them. I'm also cooking with a bunch of butter, because butter doesn't have the same problems to the same degree as any of these seed oils. So there is a solution, guys. We got to read the label, number one, because these things are literally hiding in plain sight, So there are alternatives, like I mentioned. We got to avoid the B's, the bag, the box, and a barcode, but we also need to be cognizant of what we're cooking in, right? If the recipe calls for vegetable oil, like my favorite waffle recipe, thank you, Grandma Margie, like I love this recipe, I don't put vegetable oil in it. I don't put canola oil. I don't put corn oil. You know what I put in it? I put avocado oil and then a little bit of coconut oil, because I like that little coconutty taste. Sometimes I'll add even a little bit of mac nut oil. My kids don't like that one as much. I love mac nuts, but mostly I use avocado oil, coconut oil, and olive oil. Olive oil mostly I use for like dressings and things like that. I don't cook with it as much because the smoke point is a little bit lower than avocado and coconut. But those are the 3 oils that I keep in my house, and I keep them in dark glass, not plastic, dark glass bottles, right? Because the light can help oxidize them and damage them. Also heat, also, like I said, the light. And so you want to keep them in a dark glass container, and that's one of the ways you can tell if it's good oil is it'll come in a dark glass container. Those cottonseed, vegetable oils, canolas, they're coming in a clear plastic bottle, another sign of cheapness. So there are alternatives. You can also use the natural animal products like tallow, lard, butter. I just use butter. It's just more commercially available, and I try to get the grass-fed butter, which is awesome. And, then the olive oils and the coconut and butter, like we talked about. One thing to keep in mind is, like, if you're reading a label and it says, like in the big print, it has olive oil, you still got to read the ingredients, because a lot of things I've noticed, like salad dressings and even some sauces, like it'll have olive oil in there, but it'll literally be one of the last ingredients. One of the first ingredients is soybean oil or canola oil. So they're diluting out that olive oil, putting in mostly crap oil, but they put some olive oil in there because they want to trick you. Those of us that aren't reading the labels, we would never know. So that's the first thing. We need to know. We need to read those ingredients. You got to remember the 5-ingredient rule and look for these oils. There's at least 8 of them that are not awesome. I said them a couple of times throughout the podcast. I'm just going to reiterate one more time because I think it's so important, because they're literally hiding in plain sight. The C's and the S's, the canola, the cottonseed, the corn oil, the safflower, the sunflower, the grapeseed, the soy and soybean oil, and the rice bran oil. These are not awesome. These are the seed oils. So you got to look for them. You got to avoid them. Avoid them in your foods. Anything that has a label, a box, a barcode, or it's in a bag, you got to read the dang label. You have to. It's so important because they are hiding in plain sight. And just remember, there's a fantastic alternative. You can use olive oil for your dressings. You can cook with avocado oil. You can cook with coconut oil. You can add these in your favorite recipes. You can use butter, ghee, tallow. These are, especially from grass-fed, a species-specific diet that are eating the grass and not being fed. Because a lot of times you just buy butter, and what are they feeding these animals? They're feeding them canola oil because it's cheaper. It fattens them up quicker. So you got to be careful. You got to know what you have eaten has eaten. You not only are what you eat, like my grandmother taught me, we are definitely what we eat, but we are also what we have eaten has eaten. It matters. It matters the source, the quality, what they're eating. In fact, there's super interesting studies looking at, say, grass-fed beef. If they're not getting exposed to any of these, hormones and seed oils and other fatteners, heaven forbid, the sprinkles that are often fed to cattle and things like that, if they're only on a species-appropriate diet, which is grass, and they're allowed to just graze and roam and go wherever, they eat so many different varieties of plants which have just helpful, what are called phytochemicals and phytonutrients. And if we eat the meat from these regeneratively raised cattle, beef, what have you, we actually get some of the benefits of the plants that they have eaten. So it goes both ways. We can benefit or we can be harmed depending on what we eat has eaten or how it was cultivated, raised, and so on. And it just is so important, going to this 5-ingredient rule is so important. Keep to the basics. If you can't pronounce or understand, or you don't know what some of these chemicals are, like literally my grandmother would say, if it's not in the pantry, you don't use it yourself to cook, why should you eat that crap? Like she always did home cooking, and just think about that, because there are all these things now that are getting popularized, like the, so-called plant-based burgers out there, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. There's several different ones, the Impossible Burger, whatever. There's a couple different brands. There's a fake egg. I think it's called like Just Egg. And it's literally made with the seed oils. I think the number 1 or number 2 ingredient was one of these seed oils on there. And I was just mortified when I read this. It was being promoted by actually a podcast that I really like from a dude that's amazing, but he was promoting the Just Egg brand. And I'm like, well, let me just see those ingredients just to make sure. And it was crap, equal to the Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger. Like, do those pass the 5-ingredient rule? Heck no. They have multitudes of ingredients and a lot of things that are not awesome, including all of those 3 that I mentioned, or 4, I can't remember how many I just mentioned. They have the seed oils, as Dr. Kate Shanahan calls them, the hateful 8. She is such a proponent of avoiding these oils. She's amazing. If you don't follow her as well. drkate.com, I think, is her website. Dr. Kate Shanahan. She's a doc that's got so much experience in this. She wrote the book, what was it called? Fat Burn Fix, I think. She used to be the team doctor of the LA Lakers, Kobe Bryant, some of these others literally had their health significantly improved by following her basically low PUFA diet, no seed oil diet. I mean, this is good stuff, guys, for performance, for health, for wellness, to avoid disease, which literally is caused in a lot of ways or affected by these seed oils. I mean, we got to toss them. We got to start looking for them. We got to replace them with the alternatives. And we just need to upgrade, our diet. And we got to be looking. It's just so important, guys. I cannot even stress this enough. Another thing that I've noticed in my own life personally, and I've seen it reported in the literature as well, is that when we don't eat these seed oils, in other words, we're not putting all these PUFAs into our body, the polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are prone to oxidation, inflammation, and damage, I not only feel better, but I'm a fair-skinned dude. I'm in Hawaii, and I almost never use sunscreen because, I try to be out early in the morning or late in the day, so I'm not in the middle of the day, but I go out in the middle of the day, and I almost never use sunscreen, and I don't sunburn anymore. I used to sunburn because just think about it. What's immediately under the skin? You got the epidermis, the skin layer, but then right under that is what's called subcutaneous fat. Like anybody who's cut themselves a little bit deep, like they see those little globule yellow looking stuff under the skin, that's called subcutaneous fat. And if we eat crap, if we eat the seed oils, guess what? That fat is composed of the seed oils. And what happens when the sun penetrates our skin and hits that fat, hits those cells, those adipocytes that are made of the seed oils? We get inflammation. We get cooked by these bad oils, and we get sunburn. And what I've seen in my own life is as I've taken these seed oils out of my life, like I literally don't get sunburned anymore. It's like amazing, or I hardly do at all, and I spend time in the sun, and I'm such a fair-skinned dude. So it's been a game changer for me, not only with simple things like sunburn, but just overall health. Like I used to get really achy. My joints were always achy. I hate to say it, it's embarrassing, but I literally would take ibuprofen almost every single day for years because I was achy. I just thought I was getting old. You know what? It wasn't that I was getting old. I'm almost 50 now, and I don't have this problem because I've dropped the seed oils for the most part. Unless they sneak them in at the restaurant or whatever, and I didn't ask about it. I pretty much don't consume any of these seed oils because I'm looking for them. I'm reading the ingredients label. I'm only cooking with avocado oil and butter and coconut oil. Like I'm paying attention to this stuff. It's not hard, guys. There's basically 8 of them to avoid. Make a list of it at first so you got them in your brain. But they're basically, if you think about it, even a simpler way besides memorizing, just think of if it's anything that comes from a seed, like a soybean, like a corn, like a canola. All of these are seeds. It takes a lot of industrialized processing to make these things. Like it's not a simple, you just squeeze it, apply pressure, and boom, you get oil. Like that's what happens with olives, right? They're oil filled. You just, in the old days, I think they stomped on them, but you just press on them, you squeeze them, and you got your oil. Same thing with avocados. They're so buttery and oily, which is awesome. Same thing with coconuts, buttery and oily. You don't have to succumb them to high pressure, high heat. And we've been using those things for literally thousands of years. And all of a sudden, 100 years ago, we thought we were smarter than nature because we could produce these nice, clear, yellowy, look nice to cook with. And Crisco, that's that white and shiny. Like we thought, hey, we're smart. We can figure this out. We can even use a waste product that we're going to otherwise throw away from the cotton industry. And we're going to use it to put in our food because we're so smart. Well, we goofed up big time with the seed oils. Like literally our life expectancy going down, our disease rate going up. Like this is, I can't say correlated, or I can't say caused by this, but it's definitely correlated. It follows the same trend. It definitely follows the same trend. And we've incorporated more of these seed oils into our diet. We're also having many more health problems. We're dying younger. We're dying more often. And it is not good. I mean, heart disease is still the #1 killer, not only in the U.S., but worldwide. And a big part of it is not what they told us back in the day, the saturated fat or eating eggs, is not that at all. It's these seed oils. And now finally it's coming out, eggs, especially if they're well-sourced, they're actually good for you. They have the omega-3s. They have the healthy cholesterol that our brain needs, and healthy, real fat, like from butter, grass-fed and things like that. are actually good for us. Like, who knew, right? I was a child of the 70s and I thought that these things were evil. Like, my mom still winces a little bit when I eat eggs for breakfast because she's still got in her head that eggs are bad. Or if I'm cooking with butter, she's thinking she should have some margarine or shed spread because that's how she was raised. And we got to stop that, because these artificial, highly industrialized processed oils and anything that's hydrogenated are literally potentially toxic for us. So I know it's a lot. We shared quite a bit. Like I said, I'm going to refer you to that article from Nutrients 2020, Potential Adverse Effects of Ingestion of Dietary Lipid Oxidation Product Toxins, the Significance of Fried Food Sources. It's a little bit of science, but it actually gets right to the point, talks about how these are so volatile. They are so prone to damage, oxidative stress, and inflammation that we got to be super, super careful, especially with fried foods, especially when we go out to eat. And we just got to read those dang labels. So I hope you guys found that interesting today. It's so fun to talk about because it's literally been a game changer in my life. Like I mentioned, I don't get sunburned anymore. I don't, get the achy joints that I used to. And eliminating the seed oils was one of the biggest things that I've done. Literally. I mean, I always ate decent food. I don't eat a lot of processed food, but I didn't pay attention to this part. And if I did eat something processed, I wasn't reading the labels so much, or at least I didn't recognize that soybean oil or organic canola oil were bad for me. I didn't recognize that. I thought, well, it says organic, it's good. Well, just because it says organic or plant-based doesn't make it good. You got to make sure it comes from real ingredients that are not highly processed and that we used to eat hundreds of years ago. We ate real food back then. We're not smarter than nature, guys. Sorry, we are pretty smart, but we're not smarter than nature. Nature has it right. We got to eat real food. So thank you for listening. Please share this out on your social media. Please follow me at Aloha Surf Doc or at Modern Medicine Movement. Check out my new courses that are available. Heck, I'm going to even give you my stress course for free if you sign up for my monthly Thrive community. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait to just be able to share with you live. You can ask me questions on our Zoom calls. I'll have office hours. It's just going to be such a supportive, amazing community where you can talk to me, ask me questions. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Check it out at Aloha Surf Doc, at Modern Medicine Movement, and modernmedicinemovement.com. Aloha, guys.